Breaking news alerts, top stories, and your weather authority forecast. You're watching Idaho's first news in HD.
Last night in Haley, firefighters from throughout the Wood River Valley battled a wildfire next to Lions Park, just west of Haley. Firefighters on the scene say this fire was especially dangerous to fight. Desiree Fawn for Idaho's first news takes a closer look.
It took firefighters around 5 hours to control a 2.5-acre wildfire ignited next to Lions Park, just west of Haley. During that time, they were surrounded by widowmakers, giant flaming tree branches ready to fall at any time.
Fuel model that we're dealing with here is heavy cottonwoods, many of which are dead, with a lot of dead slash that's on the ground. We've got all of the leafy material, and we've got probably at least 5 acres of willows that are very dry, and just the lack of moisture makes that fuel model very prone to fire.
Before the Lions Park fire was contained, this whole area behind me was on fire. Firefighters faced hazardous conditions due to 35-mile-an-hour winds with wind gusts up to 45 miles an hour, carrying flames through over 100 giant cottonwood trees.
And they're notorious for having the upper branches break free, and they'll be sitting in there, and then you get any kind of a wind shift or some sort of if a fire weakens the tree, a tree branch can come from anywhere from 80 feet up in the air and could either injure somebody or kill them.
An investigation is currently underway to determine what caused the fire. Today, the Wood River Land Trust posted a statement on their Facebook page saying their recent controlled burn in the area is unrelated. In Haley, Desiree Fawn, Idaho's first news.
Blaine County wants to remind everyone in the case of fires or other emergency situations, the best way to get up-to-date information is to go to their emergency website, which is blaineemergency.org. Time now for our first look at weather with Brian Newdorf. And we talked earlier about the fact that the winds were really the problem with that fire last night.
And they've been a problem for the last 36 hours or even 24 hours. They were windy overnight. They were windy today. Not as bad, but yeah, during that time there were wind advisories in place. Not in that area, but close enough, so it was bad. Now it's colder. The winds have died down. Hopefully, you're like a hero like her. You have your heavy coat
yes,
for today.
My coat.
I don't, so I'm going to be cold on the way home. But we also had some really cool video coming out of the Wood River Valley. This is a shot of a dust devil in Bellevue. I sent it over to the National Weather Service. We're pretty much in agreement that that's what we think it is. You can see it gets a little bit more apparent as you see here. You can see that line right there. And it lasted for some time. If you look at the base, you can see the dirt and dust really being picked up by this. And again, with windy conditions, I've seen these numerous times driving to Boise at times on really windy days. You get that movement of the air, and it can start spinning and then cause a dust devil that maybe lasts for a couple of minutes. Winds have died down. Look at that, less than 15 miles an hour, and even the wind gust showing that. So not a bad night, but I'd say it's on the close to being breezy. We topped out at 45 in Haley, 51 in Twin Falls. You can see here now we are in 30s and 40s from Jerome to Twin Falls. So here's what we're going to be looking at. How long will the winds last? They've died down tonight, but they do come back. Rain and, yes, possible snow for some. And when do we warm up? All those questions to be answered in just about 10 minutes in your full Weather Authority forecast.
Thanks, Brian. On the legislative watch, the Idaho State Senate is nixing a bill that would have increased fuel tax across the Gem State. Along with a 7-cent increase on fuel tax, the bill would have eliminated sales tax on groceries and lowered income tax for high-income earners. The goal of the bill was to address the state's growing $262 million transportation shortfall by allocating the money to road and bridge maintenance in Idaho. The bill was originally proposed and backed by House Republican leadership, but the proposal did not have enough support to survive the chamber. So Governor Otter had this to say about the legislative session.
It's one of the best legislative sessions that I've ever seen for the leadership and for the general bodies to look out into the future. Instead of just trying to solve problems for 1 year at a time, they have multiple years of concern and multiple years of solution for those.
The 2015 legislative session is quickly coming to an end. So far, 494 separate bills were introduced this year, along with 62 proclamations. Out of that, nearly 50% of the bills were passed. About half of those are still awaiting the governor's signature. Every 15 minutes in the U.S., one person is killed in connection to drunk driving. To help battle this statistic, the Twin Falls Police Department and the school district are teaming up. For the last 18 years, the Every 15-Minute program has been giving seniors a glimpse of what it would be like to lose a friend to drunk driving. On Tuesday, a handful of students were selected to be the victims of a drunk driving death. They were asked to wear a Grim Reaper outfit and walk the halls, not speaking a word. This afternoon, an assembly was held to officially say goodbye to these students.
The idea is to get that message out to their friends that, you know, somebody could be gone in a heartbeat. We always get feedback later on that it does help, and we feel even if we just help one or two people to make the right choice, it's worth the program. Generally, we get a lot more feedback than that.
The Twin Falls Police Department says this program is not only for the students taking part. During the week, the parents are asked to write an obituary for their kids, hammering the message home that teaching your kids not to drink and drive is a responsibility not to be taken lightly. Meanwhile, the Twin Falls High School Student Council is doing its part by cracking down on distracted driving. Recently, the Student Council was named the overall winner of the Idaho Office of Highway Safety contest to bring awareness to the issue of distracted driving. The council came up with a concept for a billboard that will now be displayed across the state. Next week, the council will be traveling to Boise to meet Governor Otter and accept a $1,000 prize.
It's really kind of cool because a lot of times we don't get that cool opportunity to make a difference personally or like statewide or anything. It's cool to make a difference for people and to notice that we're really actually doing something here.
The National Highway Traffic Safety Commission says that 71% of young drivers admitted to texting while driving, with distracted driving being the leading cause of death for Idaho teens age 15 to 19, making the work these students are being honored for just that much more important. Well, things are looking up for Idaho dairy farmers, but it's a whole other story for cattle ranchers in California. We'll take a look at today's top ag stories and tell you how it could impact your wallet after the break. And Idaho State football set records last season, but now key contributors have moved on. How will the team do in 2015? A look at spring practice later in sports.